I gotta say, this season of Psycho-Pass has been incredible. On one hand, it's a little sad that we only have 2 more episodes of season 3, but then on the other hand, I think 2 more episodes is all this story needs for season 3. It feels so damn good to come into a season of Psycho-Pass that understands pacing, because the biggest issue season 2 had was pacing. There wasn't enough episodes for the story it was trying to tell. So even though the first half was pretty decent, the second half just kind of shit the bed because it didn't have the time to flesh this out. But with these double-length episodes, they are killing it, and I honestly enjoy season 3 as much as I've enjoyed season 1, and that is saying a hell of a lot. This episode and where this story went, I totally expected it to be concluded this week, and then episodes 7 and 8 would wrap up with a new tale. But to see that it's carrying over and just the amount of heartbreak that I am feeling, I know a lot of people are like, oh, something's gotta happen to Kay's wife, right? Like, she's not gonna have a happy ending or something terrible's gonna happen. But I don't think many people expected that, combined with Kay getting brutally beat up, kidnapped, and have both of them on death's bed. Like, this isn't good, and it is completely shattering. At this point, they could honestly kill Kay. They could kill Kay's wife. They could do something so horrifying and destroy this beautiful partnership. They easily could. At the same time, maybe they all will get out of it alive. You don't know in Psycho-Pass, especially when we're dealing with suicide bombers and how many people have died already this season, and you have one character like Arta who is bound on bent in saving as many as he can. Like, it would totally make sense for the theme to rip things away from him, brutally kill people that he loves, maybe to shatter some of his heroic views. Like, there's a lot of ways that they could take the themes and storytelling here, and I'm really excited and a little bit terrified to see what the hell they're actually going to do. This episode was great. I really enjoyed it, and just, it didn't go where I was expecting. It really didn't go down the religious, cultist kind of angle that I thought. I really thought they all would be involved in it. I wasn't really expecting primarily one in how he would be tied with this one woman we kept seeing, and it would actually be his mother, and how his sister wasn't actually all that shady. She was actually trying to help people, but in doing so, she kind of looked shady herself. And then you have, like, you know, there was this prostitution ring, and then you're smuggling in guns, and you're thinking, okay, so there was this one man who was saving prostitutes from a ring, but he was also smuggling in guns? What? How does that make sense? Like, every single step of the way where I thought I was understanding what was going on with this whole religious and immigration angle more, they kept throwing more and more curveballs. I was like, it doesn't line up. And like a majority of the characters, they were feeling my confusion, like, what? This makes no sense. And I love how Psycho-Pass was really able to keep me on the edge of my seat, really not understanding what they were trying to tell, but it was so interesting that I couldn't peel my eyes away. And as someone like Arta started clicking the pieces more and more, it started to make a lot more sense, and by the end of the episode, I was left sweating, worried, kind of in awe, and like, man, the final 2 episodes, I doubt are going to slow down. They're probably only going to speed up, and I really hope Kay and Arta, Kay's wife, gets out of this alive, because it is not looking good. Something I've really enjoyed about season 3 is how they're not relying on old fan favorite characters to drive the story forward. It really is Kay and Arta's tale. It doesn't mean they can't have Akane pop up on a video phone, or reference Akane, or reference some of our fan favorite characters, or have them in this story. But I like how it's not so dependent on them to hold this tale together. It really is built on the new characters, and primarily the new stories at hand. Having them in there and having someone like Arta be compared to Akane, like, that's really, like, that's the type of fan service you want. It's the type of fan service that rewards you for watching all of the seasons, but had you just started with season 3, never saw any of the others, I truly think you could watch season 3 as a standalone story. It wouldn't remove you so much that you're like, oh, who's Akane? You might say, who's Akane, but it's not like it ruins the story at hand. You just know she was someone from the past in this series, right? You know it's a sequel because it's called Psycho-Pass 3, but that's what I really love, is how they're not doing what I thought they would do. I really thought this would be like season 2 with better pacing, but really hand-holding and just regurgitating the same things we've already seen. But this tale feels completely fresh, and as if every single story was meant to connect very elegantly, but also stand tall as almost like a movie experience. Obviously a very long movie experience, as combining the episodes for each case is like 3 to 4 hours, but still, it really does feel like it knows what it's doing, and just watching everything kind of click throughout this episode, watching basically having 2 sets of characters. We got Kay on one side, Arta on the other, and, you know, the hologram bodies and kind of infiltrating, trying to figure out what's going on. You kind of start feeling more and more comfortable on where their tale's going. I was a little worried, I'll be honest, from the beginning of the episode all the way to the end. I felt like Kay was going to get wrapped up into something he didn't want to, and Unfortunately, I was right. But on the Arta side, I would say that was probably my favorite part because of how shocking it was. Because when Kei and Naruto work together, it feels like there's this natural chemistry. Despite Sybil saying they are not compatible whatsoever, they are the most compatible because they don't blindly trust the system that reads their mind and emotions. However, he was working with people he has worked before, but don't understand him the same way Kei does. And it was interesting when we were getting into the suicide bomber angle, and we had the sister basically protecting someone, she's not there anymore, the suicide bomber's like, where's the sister? He wanted to disarm the bomb. He didn't want to just use dominators. He didn't want to just destroy him because he felt like he could still be saved, and he was punched, he was thrown back. And even if that was the logical choice, what we've seen with Arta, he's not some blind like shonen hero who's just gonna save everyone, risk the lives of others. Yes, he'll risk his own life, but it still felt like I kind of believe he was right. I kind of believe that he probably could save him, and the only way I would know for sure he was wrong is if Kei was there and Kei said, don't do this. But both Kei and Arta, they don't put this blind trust. They make their own conclusions as if we don't always need to use the dominators. This person is knocked out. He's not a threat. He doesn't have the device to the activation for his device. So why couldn't he attempt it if he was only putting his own life on the line? But then again, this is a colleague, you don't want just a suicide mission, right? Those are the moments that really let this series flourish, and I absolutely love it. I know there was a lot of people last week, and I saw a few people with this week's episode, not to the same degree as last week, because last week definitely had more shots like this, but there are people who are saying that the past episode, and even to some degree this episode, there's a lot more inconsistencies with the visual presentation, and they're not wrong, but I don't really care. Like, some people ask me why I didn't criticize it last week with its presentation because, well, it looks a lot less in quality than the past, say, 4 episodes. And you're not wrong, but you gotta really look at it past just a couple of not that great shots. Yeah, you could probably say 5 minutes, 6 minutes, give or take throughout this episode, maybe a bit more with last week's episode. It wasn't wallpaper worthy. There was a lot of disproportionate face models, or, you know, just a couple dots for eyes. There was some pretty sloppy shots, but you gotta really look at it with the grand picture. This series is beautiful. Even with inconsistencies, this series is beautiful. Look at the detail to the backgrounds. They are beautiful and they're well detailed. They are wallpaper worthy. The amount of detail that goes into the effects from all of the technology is incredible, and you typically only see that level of detail in a movie because it's only a couple of hours. But we literally have 8 pretty much hour-length episodes, and there's always some form of glow or just detail going on with their backgrounds. And when we focus right up close and personal with all these characters, they rarely dip. 80% of the past 2 episodes looks goddamn beautiful, so 20% to me is like, I don't really care. That's how I feel. Like, unless a majority of something looks bad, I don't care if a couple of shots, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of laughable, but I'm not going to dedicate time to just saying, well, this was absolute shit like some might want to. I had to put that out there because I had quite a few people say, why didn't you criticize this last week? It just doesn't bother me like I guess it did for some. This series is fun, but it's not just like it's fun in a cheesy kind of way, it's just so well put together. In a lot of ways, I kind of feel like with season 2, a plan. There was a plan of start, middle, and end, but then you kind of had all these extra filler details, which were kind of enjoyable, but by the time you got to the end point, you had to rush to it. It feels like with this season, I don't know, a team got together, or the scriptwriter just really sat down and planned for a few days of like what the story should be, but then filled in the details before they really started kind of fleshing out the finer details. It just feels as if everything is connecting so well that I'm looking at this as just this like religious suicide bomber, you know, trying to pin crimes that were pinned on immigrants to other people. It feels like that's a standalone story, and it's amazing. But then you think, well, it's actually connecting to everything that we've been seeing up to this point. We keep focusing in on this like roundtable discussion on what people want to do, and we learned that one of them is actually the mother of this crazy religious leader, right? There's so many little things connecting, and it's actually this large grand tale, and I imagine the final 2 episodes are really going to be payoff for what we've been experiencing. I mean, this episode ends with Arta doing the ultimate sacrifice, starts using the mentalist angle, and man, I didn't know why Kei was snapping him out as much as he was, but I can understand now. He was literally watching someone or replaying their like memories, and he was getting his arm cut off, and he was feeling that pain. Like, I can understand why Kei is so like, make sure this dude never does this alone, because he has to snap him out because he doesn't want him to get hurt. And it seems like if he's feeling that much pain, it's possible, could he die if he stays in there too long, or his hue gets clouded to the point that he just becomes a vegetable, right? There's so many things that were happening in this episode, and as it was all connecting, it just felt like such payoff. when they got into that white room where they were basically seeing a bunch of vegetable state people and how it's like clearing their hues, but it's like, it's so weird and you never truly know where like a criminal's gonna go in Psycho-Pass. Like, there's so many ways for it to spiral out of control with maximum chaos, and it kind of feels like Psycho-Pass 3 is living up to what it can do for craziness so far with its criminal activities. I don't know, it just feels so good. It feels so rewarding, and I really, really hope there's more TV Psycho-Pass. You know, I was very, very satisfied with the 2015 movie and the first season. Like, that as a story alone, it was good. Even if you include season 2, still a good story. But they kept making those extra little side movies, and season 3, I was still excited for it. But I want a season 4. I want a season 5. If they can match the quality that's been seen here, absolutely. Obviously, you shouldn't just keep making it because it's a popular series. Only make more if there's more story to tell, but depending on how this season wraps up, I don't think Sybil's going to completely crash and burn this season, so there's probably going to be more tales to tell, and I don't know, I can't wait to see where the final 2 episodes are going to go. In a lot of ways, I kind of wish I could just binge the final 2 episodes, because I feel like they're going to connect very, very well together, or at least I hope so, since they are the final 2 episodes. But this was a great episode. I really enjoyed myself, as I have for the past 6 weeks here. Incredible, incredible. Honestly, it's how I truly feel. But what did everyone think about how this episode kind of connected everything? Were you as lost as I was as you were following it, but then by the end of the episode, it just kind of all clicked and you had this aha moment? Because that's how I personally felt, but maybe you found it a lot more like you kind of predicted where everything was going to go. But whatever you are feeling, do let me know down in that comment section below. And if you did enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like. And remember to hit that subscribe button if you have any new. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.